My name is Matthew Armstrong, this is Ditch Your Box, and I am just one of the many alternative voices that are out there that I believe deserve your attention. Whatever you focus on grows. You will never get less of something by seeing more of it. If you think by sharing more stories about racism that you're going to somehow get less racism, you just don't understand how you're being manipulated. Seeing a racist behind every bush in every institution, it's to promote the inherent divisive nature of racism amongst people who aren't racist. Yeah, but if you don't talk about the problem, you can't talk about a solution. You're not willing to face the problem. Well, let me just let you in on something. The only way that you can build credibility amongst diverse groups of people is to show that you stand behind the principle consistently. And when you don't do that, you actually create the very thing you say you're against. It's like saying I'm against the Wall Street bankers unless they're white. And now we have seen that through much media coverage and attention, instead of us becoming closer to working together to actually unifying and creating progress in this country, we have groups that are openly talking about murdering people because of the color of their skin. The majority of the groups that have recently been saying that are not white people. And I'm just as pissed off at those white racists. Instead of us actually seeing any real solutions, what we're seeing is more racism. That, my friends, if you understand how the system works and how principles of propaganda and how social control mechanisms function in this country, that is exactly what I would have predicted. Instead of us having a movement that brings diverse groups together, that builds understanding, cooperation, trust, a unified vision for change, working together to become the solution, instead of that, we are being told over and over and over how divided we are. If we changed the paradigm in the public conversation from one of this is a black movement or this is a white movement to this is a human rights movement, this affects us all, we will no longer be divided. We change the consciousness from this one of division that keeps us divided against each other while the people in power just continue to get away with everything, to one of social responsibility and one of accountability and one of unity. Number one, social responsibility, taking it upon ourselves to take ownership of the way we handle the conversation around racism and respect and appreciate the lives of other Americans as equally as valuable as our own. Number two, accountability. Accountability is the key because the reality is the majority of abuses are being done by people who are wielding authority and power, such as abuses by cops. We have to hold them accountable, and instead of us being divided against the cops, we need to say we're going to hold a standard here, and if we are going to respect the law, then you guys definitely, who are supposed to enforce the law, can't break the law and get away with it. All we got to do is start holding some cops and politicians and people in power accountable for their abuses, and everybody else is going to start falling in line. That's a big deal. Number three, unity. Unity is so important because what it says is that we are making a stand not based on color, but based on principle. And these are principles that are universal, that are truths within themselves. Of those three things, social responsibility, accountability, and unity, I believe are the true keys to us creating a movement together that will seriously not only change the landscape of racism in America, but challenge the establishment powers that are using racism to divide us and keep us playing their game. Imagine if we got people excited about sharing and understanding culture, about celebrating our diversity, but also, more importantly, celebrating what it means to be an American, that we stand up for each other, we stand up for the rights of every American. Yes, and that is how we go from separating each other and being inherently divisive to being a unifying force that really is a power to be reckoned with. Brothers and sisters, regardless of your color, our enemy is the same. The militarization of the police, the inherent racism in the justice system, the loss of our civil liberties, the misuse and abuse of power at all levels of government. We have to come together if we hope to change course. In my next video on racism, I'm going to expose the elites who have influenced America as the racists they are and show how every American has a common interest and a unifying movement of accountability that fights for the rights and dignity of every American. Stay tuned.